Welcome back, friends, and gather round for another episode of Simply Walking into Mordor. As always, this is Nauglir here, and today we are picking up exactly where we left off yesterday. Outside the Prancing Pony, in the town of Bree, ready to continue our tour of the town. That was a mouthful, our tour of the town. And so, let us begin once more on our quest to level 115. Just getting our mount here. You remember where we picked off last time? We just had a bit of an interlude with the epic story, helping Strider out in his room in the Prancing Pony, cleaning up the Blackwolds, a brigand group here in Bree. And now we are on our way to Lily Appledor's home. I'll just put on the floaty names there. Not Lily Appledor, sorry. Lily Sandheaver. Lily Appledor's in the Shire. Different hobbit. This is Lily Sandheaver. She is in charge of all of the collection of goods from the hobbits. Right. So she's going to send us to Harry Goatleaf. That's good. Off we go to the West Gate to speak to Harry Goatleaf, who is the gatekeeper. Where is he? Here he is.
What is this world coming to?
Get out of my sight. Oh, this guy is not very nice indeed. Well, he's sending us to Watchman Cardoon, who is just over here, in charge of the watch. See what he has to say.
Why are you bothering me?
Goatleaf has been acting queerer and queerer recently. Interesting. Alright. We should go to the vault next, apparently, which is just here. All these spots right next to each other. Very helpful. So, into the vault. We're kind of in the back entrance here, behind the bars. Don't know why we're allowed, but here is Maud Foxglove, the vault keeper in Bree.
Hello there.
Good. All right, out we go. Out the front door, we're going to go to the taxidermy. Now, we've already been up the main highway of Bree in the last episode. Now we're kind of going down the back way. As we go past, we might pick up this quest here.
Would you do something for me?
It's going to be able for us to hand in later on in our tour. That's just Thomas Thistlewool. He's asking us to go chat to Tad Leafcutter, who has a request of us. Right, here we are in the taxidermy, where you can get your fishing and other hunting trophies taxidermied for your house. This is a function of the game that has lost a bit of use over the years, but is still used in some ways.
What can I do
So,
for you?
the taxidermy. He is going to send us off to the Scholar's Stair. Bit of an out-of-the-way corner in Bree. We just
Hello,
look at
friend.
what items you can
Can I help
barter
you with
here. You
something?
can get trophies of different corpses that you collect, so you can put them up in your house. Right, off we go to the Scholar's Stair, which isn't too far away, but we will mount up on our horse, regardless. So, off we go. Through the Ironmonger's Gate, around the bend, and into this little side street, which has a door leading into the Scholar's Stair. Right, in we go. Climb up the stairs, and find Mr. Newbold Leafcutter.
Hello there.
This is apparently where much of the history of Breeland is stored. Alright. Apparently we should speak to Matt Heathertoes, who lives in Beggar's Alley. I was going to say Valley. Just Alley. In Beggar's Alley. Not the nicest part of town, but we should tour the whole city. So, off we go to Beggar's Alley, along the Scholar's Walk here in Bree, through these tight bends, down these stairs, and across the stone quarter into the Beggar's Alley. I keep saying Beggar's Valley. Through the mud gate, into the Beggar's Alley. Here we are. Matt Heathertoes is just through here. Speak to him,
What do you need?
and he is going to send us to the jail. But before he does, we are beset by foes inside the Beggar's Alley. This really is not the nicest place in town, but it kind of does allude to some of the trouble that Bree is in at the moment. And hopefully we'll be able to help with some of that trouble. Alright. They weren't too difficult. Just a couple of common ruffians. Off we go to Lily Appledore. This was the other Lily I was talking about before. She is at the Bree jail, and so we're going to go visit her. While we are there, we can speak to our champion trainer, who has given us a quest to come and talk to him through the mail. So, bring the letter to Ogre in Bree, and Ogre just happens to be in the jail. He's not in jail. He's one of the wardens there, and he is the champion trainer. Open up this door. In we go. If I can walk in the door. There we go. Alright, Lily Appledore. How do you do? Welcome to Bree. Take a good look around you. There are cells. These are the cells where those who mean ill to the people of Bree find themselves. That's a bit of a warning. It's also where we train future recruits. Well, that is why the champion trainer will be somewhere in here. Now, where exactly are they? I think... I can't seem to find them. Where have they gone? Where is this champion trainer? I can see the ring for him. Aha, he must be in here. Yes, he's hiding in here. What an out-of-the-way place to be. Alright. Pressing matter. We have arrived, Ogre. We are ready to learn a lesson from you. A champion is happiest in battle, Nauglir, protecting the weak and fighting for the helpless. I can see in your eye that you have already come to understand that. Now you need to hone your skills, so you may survive the difficulties this calling will set before you. Right, so, this is a class-specific quest. Every class gets one at level 15, then another one at level 30. So, we've got this quest to get, and it gives us a mighty fine axe to use in our battles, and also a neat title, Blade of Renown. That's a pretty cool title. Alright, we have to talk to Alton Fobane, and apparently he is at the Coombe Gate, on the east side of the town of Bree. We can go talk to him after we finished our tour. Alright. Out the Bree jail we go, and we're off to the south gate to speak to some auctioneers. Through the Woodsman's Gate. And we're going to go into that auction hall in just a second. Before we do, we're going to talk to Bert Goldenleaf, who is a stable master for the south gate of Bree. And also, there's a fairly useful milestone here that I will bind to, so we can return home, because just over there is a skirmish camp, which I will explain when we hit level 20. No need to worry about that now. Alright, into the auction hall to speak to an auctioneer. Here we are. We have 3 to choose from. Let's choose Sissy. Is that how you say that name? Orange Blossom.
What can I do?
This is the Bree auction hall. Here you can trade materials with other craftsmen and adventurers at a small cost, which helps support Bree-Town. Right, so the auction house, as it's known in LotRO, is where we can trade goods with other players and put it up there, and other people can bid on the items or buy them outright for a price that we set, and then the auction house takes a little bit of the profit as a small fee to hold it on there. It's a good way people will use to make money. Other than that, they also use the trade channel, which is a worldwide chat channel. We won't be doing much of that at the moment. Alright, Tad Leafcutter at the Hunting Lodge. He is a representative of the Men of Bree. He welcomes us to his township. Right, so throughout the game, we will find different factions that we can gain reputation with. And we can find the different factions that we know about on our character sheet in the Reputation tab or panel. So, this Reputation panel, I've set a hotkey for it down here. We can see that we know of 4 factions. These are the basic 4 factions that everyone knows about when they create their character. The Men of Bree, the Dwarves of Thorin's Hall, the Elves of Rivendell, and the Hobbits of the Matham Society. These represent the 4 free peoples of Middle-earth. And this Tad Leafcutter is a representative of the Men of Bree. You can see that he has a little title under there, Men of Bree. Now, at the moment, we are neutral standing with the Men of Bree. We will gain reputation with them by doing quests around Breeland. And also, we could gain reputation with them by collecting specific items and bringing them back, handing them in, and each of those items will give us a small boost to our reputation. So as you can see, we've currently got 2,900 points out of the possible 10,000 for the current tier of standing with them. Normally, there are a few exceptions, but normally you start at neutral standing with anyone, then you get to acquaintance after the 10,000, then after another tier you get to friend, then ally, and finally you are kindred standing, and that is the max standing with most factions. Along the way you get various bonuses such as travel discounts and store discounts, things like that. And finally, you also unlock different rewards from these barterers who are representatives. So you can see here, not this one in particular actually, but yes, here it says requires ally standing with the men of Bree. So since we're not ally standing, we cannot actually use this item. And each of these people have different items that are gated behind reputation levels. I hope I've explained that well enough. There are a couple of factions that we will go towards there, but you can see 700 reputation, and down here you can see your reputation with the men of Bree has increased by 700. There are a couple of factions in the game that will really attempt hard to get to kindred with, but the men of Bree kind of happens naturally over time, and if not, it's very easy to farm it later on at higher levels. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. There aren't that many great rewards that we can get, aside from the very useful return to Bree. I wonder if this guy can give it to us. I don't think so. Oh yes, return to Bree here. Kindred standing required. So we need max reputation, and then for 100 barrow treasures, we can get this skill called return to Bree, and at any time, we can return to Bree-Town. That's the main use for reputation in the earlier zones of the game. That easy travel. Alright, enough about reputation for now. We're going to go off to Mayor Graham Tenderlark. We've finished our tour, and we're going to go hand in that quest and see what he would like to do, what he would like us to do in service of this fair town. I don't know about you, I'm keen to stop running around this city and start getting into the actual quest. We're not going to pick up this quest from Tadash Mead, it's a housing quest. Basically, it just gets us to ride out to the housing neighborhoods. I might do a video explaining housing a bit later on. But for now, up we go to Mayor Graham Tenderlark and see what he wants us to do.
Greetings.
Tour of Bree. Yes, we know our way around Bree, and you've given us a useless piece of paper explaining the auction house. We also can't sell this armorer's guide, so we're going to destroy that. All right. The trouble with the Southerners.
Would you do something
As I mentioned before, brigands have become a true threat to the safety of Breeland. My chief watcher has moved to the outskirts of town, just outside the West Gate and north along the Greenway, to a small stone cottage in an attempt to thwart the brigands' plans. So he wants us to go out and help Chief Watcher Grimbriar outside Bree-Town. And as a reward, we gain standing with the men of Bree. Very useful. Okay, off we go. There's two things I want to do before we leave town. And those two things are, firstly, talk to Alton Fobane for our class quest. And secondly, I'm going to go through organizing our inventory. And just quickly explain how I like to do that. Obviously, there's multiple ways you can organize your inventory. But as you can see here, ours is a right mess, and it is quite messy indeed. It's quite full as well, so we're going to attempt to clear it out a bit. But I'm going to explain how I like to sort it, and how I like to go through the whole selling process. But first, off to Alton Fobane, and he should just be out here, outside the Coombe Gate. Right, here he is, Alton Fobane, standing on your little cart. One of your axes is pointing the wrong way, mate. I don't know what you're trying to prove, but you're a dwarf who's in need of some height. Alright, you say you're a champion, Nauglir, but I have to tell you, I've never heard of you. Well, that is soon to change. What great deeds have you performed? None that I have seen, and there is still great danger in the surrounding countryside. Right, so he would like us to defeat these three dangerous fellas who are roaming the countryside of Bree. He's given us a piece of notes, and he's given us some explanation of the different opponents. So, we've got a goblin called Jerpuk of the Deeps, and he is found in the Midgewater Marshes north of the Great Road. Who else? Fair Sherman is a half-orc, and he is found in the Southgard ruins at the entrance of the Andrath. Okay, fair enough. And finally, Morley the Fierce, who is a brigand, and he is in the old Greenway Fort. So if we look at our map here, they're quite separated, these three foes. One of them's all the way out here, near the Weather Hills, near the Lone Lands. That's quite a ride. We might do that towards the end of this episode. We might just ride out there and find that foe. Finally, secondly, we have this guy down in the Vale of Andrath. We will go questing down there, and so we'll get him as we head down there. And finally, this last fella up here in the old, what was it called? The old Greenway Fort. And so I think we'll ride up there as well this episode to finish them off. Okay, before we set out, I think that's what we'll do this episode. It's a fairly important quest to get done. So what we'll do this episode is we will sort out our inventory and then ride out to find that goblin and those foes. So, firstly, sorting out our inventory. We have to find a vendor. I'm going to go to this provisioner over here.
What can I do for you?
Right, so we're not worried about buying anything from him, but every time we visit a vendor, we're going to check if we need to repair anything, and of course we do, because we've fought and our items have become damaged in some way, and also items that we're no longer using are damaged, but we still want to repair these, because their value when we sell them will be increased by more than the repair cost. So if we repair it, it will become more valuable than if we didn't repair it, and we'll actually make a profit. So what we're going to do is repair all of our items, whether they're equipped or not, so that we make sure we're selling things for the full value. Now, we have this selling screen. And what we're going to go through is any item that we think is worth keeping, we're going to lock it, and that way, when we hit sell all, it won't sell that item. Now, I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I like to keep every single crafting useful item, anything that's useful for crafting, I like to keep it, and I distribute it between my different characters who are different crafters through the shared storage system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock anything that has to do with crafting. So light hides, useful for a tailor, these recipe scrolls. Then if we come across a piece of gear, we check if it's better than what we're wearing. If it's not, then we just leave it unlocked. If it is, well then we found a piece of better gear and we're going to equip it. So, this common flax fiber, good for tailoring, all these little trophies. I would just sell them. These little trophies can be used for tasks. It says this item may be turned into tasks. I'm not a huge fan of tasks. I'll just show you quickly what they are. There are these task bulletin boards all around Middle-earth, and they give you reputation with the faction of the area. And basically what you do is you get these common items that just drop off everyday enemies, and you collect a bunch of them, and then you hand them all in here at the task board. But you see, if we look in our quest log, we can only do 5 tasks per day. And you can increase that by spending some money, or by doing lots and lots of tasks. I find that the bonus you get from doing your tasks per day is not actually that great, and in the end, it's just worth selling them. You get the reputation easy enough, and the extra experience is more of a nuisance than it actually is a benefit. So we're just going to sell these task items, these little trophies. Right, through we go. More recipe scroll cases. We'll keep them. We'll keep this ashy resin and the flax fibers and this brimstone. They're critical success for crafting. Now we've got more scroll cases. We'll lock them. Agates. More trophies. This claymore we once used but no longer. These tablet fragments are for scholars. This is more scroll cases. We don't need these muffins. They're not going to be very useful. More use to us to sell them. Rock salt. That's for a jeweler. We've got more gear that we no longer use. Now, this simple Athelas essence, we're going to keep the top tier that we can use. We can see this unlocks at level 15. And so we're going to keep these ones, and we're actually going to unlock our lower level ones. There we go. All right, so we've kept our simple ones. There they are. We can switch them over, and now the lesser ones are ready to be sold. All right, so we've got more scroll cases, a copper ingot, we'll keep that. Another scroll case, some sprig of whatever that's called, I can't remember. Sprig of mugwort, there we go. A rushlight candle, that's useful for scholars. This is for woodworkers. Honed greatsword, no longer useful for us. Amethysts for a jeweler. Some scroll cases. More scholar items. Now we'll keep our simple celebrant salves. They will be power potions. You can find them in the inventory. There we are. And we can use them. We can actually replace our less powerful ones on our hotbar there. Alright, more rock salt for scholars, for jewelers, sorry. We don't want to sell this sturdy steel key. It's useful for opening loot boxes. And looking through here, all these items are not as useful to us anymore. And so we are going to sell all. And immediately you'll see that our inventory is a lot clearer than it once was. Right. Now, what's the next step? Well, there's a couple of options. Some people like to spread out their bags over multiple bags. So you can actually click and drag slots of your inventory in between your bags. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't really like switching how many bags I've got. I like just having the one bag. And so what I like to do is down here at the bottom, I keep my important things. So I keep the things I'm never going to get rid of right down the bottom. Things like keys and potions, other bonuses that I'm going to hold on to for a while. And in the next kind of row or two, I keep any gear that I'm holding on to that I might want to equip soon. So something that's a bit too high level for me currently, that I'm going to equip later. Or a second piece of gear that I might want to switch to in different situations. So we've got this helmet here that we'll keep. We might open this piece of armor as well. Choose our next best option. Could be those shoulder pads, but I think it's actually going to be these. Yes, these leggings. So we'll keep the leggings. We'll chuck them down here. Make sure we lock them. Don't need to talk to them anymore. Right. So we've got, down here we've got our gear. And lastly, another tier of keeping is all these crafting items. Now, every time I go into town, I could go to the vault and I could put all this stuff away, but I'm going to end up just collecting more of the same items. So I might as well keep it and just let it build up in my inventory. It shouldn't take up extra space in the inventory because you can see that they stack into multiple items in one stack. So if we just keep them here, they should just accumulate in their quantity rather than the amount of spaces they're taking up. I keep them down here so that the items fill up from the top and it's just trash up the top, or things that I'm going to look at. And then if it just fills into a stack, it'll automatically go down here. So hopefully that makes sense in how I organize my inventory. Let's get on with it and go and hunt down this goblin that Alton Fobane has asked us to hunt down. So we see here that we've also got a smithing hammer and tailor's tools that aren't worth anything, so we can sell them. So we're just going to destroy those. In fact, we've got another one equipped. And if we're going to do any crafting, we're going to get better tools than that anyway. So they're just worth destroying. All right. Out we go. And we're going to ride all the way out to this goblin over here. Now, we shouldn't come into much trouble along the way because a lot of this area is lower level. Can't jump over that wall there. A lot of this area is lower level than what we are. So, on our way, might just enjoy the countryside a bit. We've got the Stadalmere here, the big Stadalmere, as we go past the town of Stadal. This is a hobbit settlement on the eastern side of Bree. And if you were a man, you would have done some quests here before arriving in Bree yourself. So, if we look on the map here, we can see Archett's over here. It's got its own map. And then Coombe and then Stadal. That's the path kind of for men as they level up to level 15. And then they hit Bree, just like every other race in the game. So just like we went from Kellendim to Dweilon to the Hunting Lodge into Rath-Tareg, the men follow a similar path. And this Midgewater Marsh area is their final area before hitting Bree-Town. So, We're going to ride through the marshes. We're going to be a bit careful because these monsters can do some damage to us. But on the way, why not continue our inspection of the different stats that are used in this game. Now, I don't know if I mentioned last time where critical rating, finesse, physical mastery, and tactical mastery... Sorry, just got a bit of a cough there. Right, where these 4 stats come from. Critical rating, finesse, physical mastery, and tactical mastery. Now, critical rating comes from agility. It also comes from fate, but mainly it's going to come from standalone bonuses. So we can see on this earring, we have 52 critical rating, just standalone given to us straight. And that's where we're going to get most of our critical rating from these standalone bonuses. Finesse, that I'm not sure if it comes from anywhere. I don't think it does. It just comes from standalone bonuses. So we've got no finesse at the moment, which is not great, but not too important. Physical mastery comes from our might, and I'm pretty sure that's all. Yes, just comes from our might. And then tactical mastery comes from our might, and also our will, which is can end up in some strange combinations. Now we've overshot our goblin here. That's my bad. Let's go find him. He should be right around here somewhere. Where is our goblin friend? I think... No, that's not him. Oh, this fly is attempting to slay us. Alright, let's look on the map as soon as we've killed this fly as to where our friend Zerpuk is. Okay. Is that him? No. Oh, that fast one. I bet that's him. Yes! We found him. Okay. We're going to quickly switch into our single target mode so we can do quite a bit of damage to him at once. We're going to yell at him to get him from running away from us and engage the fight. We've accidentally picked up another goblin. That's alright. We will deal with him in due course. But Zerpuk is our main goal. Right, and we've almost brought him down. He was no match for us in the end. And let's bring down his crony as well. Alright. A blade of renown indeed. Now, we don't really want to ride all the way back there. So we're going to return to Bree. And that way we can track down our other 2 foes quickly. I might let this episode run a tad long so we can track down those foes and finish that quest in time for the end of the episode. And then next episode we can begin aiding Chief Watcher Grimbriar. Alright, so down south to the Vale of Andrath. As soon as we get out of the influence of Bree, there we go. Okay, we're heading down south to this Vale of Andrath now to find Fair Sherman, I believe. Half-orc. And he will be down there, hopefully easy to find. Right. So, as we ride, taking this lovely landscape of Bree-Town, the little Nika-breakers, the forests and the old walls there, we ride up the hill. So yes, as I was saying, physical and tactical mastery come from might, and will also gives a bit of a bonus to tactical mastery. Right. The next stat is Light of Erendil. We're not going to have to worry about the Light of Erendil until we hit the Mordor region. So at least level 105, we won't have to worry about that statistic. Basically, a short explanation, it offsets the Shadow of Mordor. That's all I'm going to tell you for now, because it will not affect us for a long while. Now, we are here at the Southgard Ruins, and we are going to find Mr. Fair Sherman, wherever he might be. I'm really not sure where that is. It looks like he's over there, so maybe we will go around the ruin and ride up around the side. And I think we'll be able to find him. Yes, if we ride up this hill, this is the way to go. Okay, so this will be our second quarry of the 3 that we've been tasked with defeating. In my opinion, the champion does have the most annoying level 15 class quest. No other class has to run around this far to get different enemies in vastly different places of Freeland. It is a bit of an annoying quest, but the rewards are worth it. as you'll be able to see very soon. Okay, let's build up some further. Hit him with a relentless strike. That should do a decent amount of damage. Got him down to half health. Build up some more further. And we'll hit him with brutal strikes to finish him off. Defeated Fair Sherman. Right. Now, our Return to Bree skill has not cooled down, so we are going to ride north. On the way, we will speak to Chief Watcher Grimbriar. And actually, we might not. I think we'll do that at the start of the next episode. So, I might explain why this quest is so important. Why are we doing a quest that gives us a nice axe, but it's quite an annoying quest to do it. It's really not a good way to get to level 115 very quickly. We're spending a lot of time just riding around Breeland here, and while that might be beautiful, and you can see the town there on the horizon in the background, it's not very time efficient. Now, the reason we are doing it is because of this deed log here. I'll just briefly explain how class deeds work. As you know, these class deeds track how many times we've used particular skills. So if we look at one we've used quite a lot of, Rend, use Rend, Brutal Strikes, or Bracing Attacks. So they're all skills that we have access to at some point or another. And we need to use all three of them, between them 250 times. So, not too many times, but we've done 71 out of 250. Now, what does this mean? We get 5 LotRO points. Big deal. Actually, it's better than you might think. So, if we look at the one we completed, Blade Storm, using it 50 times, that then unlocked a new deed for us, which is a tier of class deeds deed. So this says complete Winds of the Storm, complete Rip to Shreds, and complete Wild Thing. So we have Wild Thing and Rip to Shreds. And what this deed is saying to us is once we complete these deeds, these 2 extra deeds, we will then complete this deed. And the reward for this deed is a class trait point. And that is invaluable. Everything you can do to get all the class trait points you can is worth it. Because, as you can see, there are plenty of class traits to get. And you can never have too many points, because the more points you have, the better you'll perform in combat. So, back to the point, why are we doing this silly runaround quest? Well, a Blade of Renown, this quest in particular, is actually one of the requirements for Class Deeds Tier 3. There are 8 of these meta deeds, of these Class Deed deeds, and for Tier 3 and for Tier 5, you have to complete the level 15 and level 30 class quests. So completing these class deeds is not enough to get all the class trait points. You actually have to do these quests too. Which is why, aside from the very shiny axe, we are working so hard to get this quest done. We are almost up to the north, and we are running out of time. And so what I will do is close out the episode as we fight Nauglir the Fierce. That will be the climax of the episode. So guys, if you are new and you're enjoying the videos so far, please do subscribe to the channel. The support in these early days means so much, and subscribing really helps the channel to grow. So please click that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you know when a new video comes out, which will be every day. Also, if you like the video, please leave a like and leave a comment. What do you want Nauglir's last name to be? And do you want us to speed all the way to level 115 or to explore the story and the world a bit more? Right, formalities out of the way, we found Nauglir the Fierce. It's time for the epic climax of the episode to finish this quest once and for all, bringing down the 3rd great threat to Breeland. And we'll finish him off with this Savage Strike skill, hopefully. Oh, he's on 1 health point. He's evaded 2 attacks, and we finally brought him down. There we go. So, to begin the next episode, we will hand in that quest, A Blade of Renown, to Alton Fobane, and we will also talk to Chief Watcher Grimbriar outside Bree-Town. But guys, until tomorrow, that's going to be all for today. As always, this is Nauglir, and I will see you tomorrow.